You think you know what happened next, but trust me, you don't. It was a cold winter evening in Ohio. The streets were quiet, except for the faint hum of traffic and the occasional gust of wind that sent shivers down anyone brave enough to be outside. Among the shadows stood a young boy, no older than 10, huddled against the biting chill. His clothes were thin, his face pale, and his eyes carried a weight far too heavy for someone so young. This was Liam, a homeless child who had seen more hardship in his short life than most people face in a lifetime. Every day was a struggle, finding food, staying warm, avoiding danger. But tonight felt different. Tonight, he decided to take a chance. As Liam wandered through the empty streets, he noticed a man walking toward him. This wasn't just any man. This was JD Vance, author, lawyer, and someone known for speaking out about struggles like the ones Liam faced every day. At first, Liam hesitated. What if the man ignored him? What if he got yelled at? But something inside told him to try. "Excuse me," Liam called out softly, his voice trembling with both fear and hope. JD turned around, noticing the small figure standing there. Without missing a beat, JD approached Liam and crouched down to meet him at eye level. "What's up, buddy?" JD asked gently, his tone kind but firm. Liam looked up, clutching an old backpack tightly as though it held all the answers, or maybe just all the questions. I'm hungry," he admitted quietly, tears welling up in his eyes. "Do you have any food?" The silence stretched between them for a moment, before JD smiled warmly. It wasn't the kind of smile that dismissed or pitied. It was the kind that said, "I see you." JD Vance didn't hesitate. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small leather wallet. But instead of handing over money or making some vague promise, he did something unexpected. "I'll tell you what," JD said, his voice steady and reassuring. "Let's go grab something to eat together." "My treat." Liam blinked, unsure if he'd heard correctly. Someone important, was actually offering to help him right now. Not tomorrow or next week, but right now. His heart raced with a mix of excitement and disbelief. "Really?" Liam asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Of course," JD replied with a nod. "You deserve a good meal, Liam. Everyone does." And just like that, the two of them started walking toward a nearby diner. Along the way, JD asked Liam questions, not intrusive ones, but simple, friendly ones. Where was he from? Did he have family nearby? What did he like to do when he wasn't worrying about where his next meal would come from? For the first time in a long while, Liam felt seen, not as a statistic or a problem to solve, but as a person, a kid with dreams, fears, and favorite foods, just like anyone else. When they arrived at the diner, JD ordered enough food for both of them: burgers, fries, milkshakes, the works. As they sat across from each other at a booth by the window, Liam couldn't help but feel grateful. It wasn't every day someone stopped to care, but JD wasn't done yet. While they ate, he shared stories of his own childhood. Growing up in Ohio, he knew what it meant to struggle. There were times when he didn't know where his next meal would come from either. Times when life seemed unfair, even impossible. Yet here he was today, proof that things could change for anyone willing to fight for better days. As they talked, Liam began to open up more. He told JD about his mom, who worked long hours at a factory but still couldn't make ends meet. About how they'd lost their apartment after she got sick and had to spend money on medicine instead of rent. About how he often skipped meals so she could eat something. JD listened intently, nodding along as Liam spoke. When the boy finished, JD leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on the table. "Liam," JD said seriously, "you're stronger than you think. You've been through so much already, and yet here you are, asking for help instead of giving up. That takes courage." Liam looked down at his plate, feeling a mix of pride and sadness. Courage didn't feel like enough sometimes, but hearing those words made him feel less alone. Then JD added, "And you know what? Sometimes people need a little extra help to get back on their feet, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're smart enough to ask." By this point, the diner staff had started noticing the interaction between the two. They exchanged glances, smiling softly as they refilled drinks or cleared plates. There was something special happening in that corner booth, something that reminded everyone present why kindness mattered. After finishing their meal, JD pulled out a business card from his wallet. On the back, he scribbled a phone number and handed it to Liam. "If you ever need anything at all, you call this number," JD instructed firmly. "There are people who can help your mom find a job, a place to live, whatever you need." "Okay?" Liam nodded, clutching the card tightly. For once, he felt like someone believed in him, not because of what he could do someday, but because of who he already was. But JD wasn't finished yet. As they stepped outside, the cold air hitting them like a wall, JD turned to Liam one last time. "You remember this night, okay?" JD said with a warm smile. "Because tonight, you showed me that even in the hardest moments, there's always hope. And maybe, just maybe, I helped remind you of that too." Liam stood there for a moment, watching JD walk away into the night. The weight in his chest felt lighter somehow, replaced by a spark of hope he hadn't felt in a long time. He looked down at the business card in his hand, its edges already worn from being clenched so tightly. That very next day, Liam showed the card to his mom. Together, they called the number JD had given them. What followed was a series of small miracles, a connection to a local shelter, access to resources they didn't know existed, and eventually, a new apartment where they could start fresh. Months later, life wasn't perfect. It rarely is, but it was better. Liam went back to school, his mom found steady work, and every once in a while, they'd talk about that night when everything changed. About the stranger who stopped to listen, who offered not just food, but faith in their ability to rise above their circumstances. Word of JD's kindness spread quickly through the community. Strangers began sharing their own stories of struggle and triumph, inspired by the example set that cold winter evening. Some even reached out to help others, paying forward the same compassion JD had shown Liam. Years passed, and Liam grew up. By then, he'd forgotten the exact words JD had spoken that night, but he never forgot the warmth of knowing someone cared enough to stop, to see him, to act. That feeling stayed with him, guiding him as he navigated life's challenges and successes. So tell me in the comments below, what would you have done if you were JD? Or if you were Liam, would you have taken that chance to ask for help? And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, because there's more heartwarming stories coming your way. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person stopping to say, "I see you," to change everything. And that, my friends, is a story worth telling.